Eagle Pride.
Nope. Aggie
NCCU
Pride.
School of Law.
We're not here for the
Carolina
Eagles.
Alumni. Tar Heels.
Aggie
Eagle
Pride.
Pride. Aggies are
Aggie
okay.
Pride.
Aggies are okay.
At our homecomings, though, 30,000 plus.
Okay, G-Ho.
Right. Greatest.
Y'all come correct for
on
G-Ho.
earth.
No qualms there.
We do come correct, don't we?
I be on y'all like, hey girl.
And that's the HBCU experience.
It is.
Right. We're going to get into it. Bring it back. We're Motha
Knows.
Because we always what?
Knowing. Just
of
knowing.
Course.
Been knowing. Stay knowing. We're knowing.
I'm Amber, y'all. I'm Amber. And this
Ariel,
is
what up?
Reel it on in. But yeah, PWI, HBCU, the conversation. It's always a big conversation.
It is. I think it's a much needed conversation.
And it was, I'm not going to say always, it is now. But, years ago, it was not a conversation at all. Yeah. And I'm like, we have all of these schools and nobody told us anything.
And I feel like years ago, the conversation was it was moot on HBCUs. Certain sectors understood HBCUs. I'll say that in our community. But it was moot for the most part.
Right.
Elsewhere, mainstream. I'm glad to see HBCUs be celebrated like they're getting celebrated.
Yeah. Celebrated and I think appreciated for what they truly give to a lot of brown, Black youth.
And let's just be real, because nowadays it's not just brown and Black youth that is.
Oh, it's everybody. It's everybody, and we'll get into it, but it's everybody. And like I didn't hear about it in HBCU until I was in high school, like my senior year.
And I didn't know about it until
I went, right? And mommy was like, "Wait, you going where?" Because we were from up north, so HBCU was like that. That wasn't a big conversation. Period.
It's not a big conversation.
It was UConn. It was UMass. Mm-hmm. It was all of those schools. We didn't know anything about HBCUs.
The Northeast has. Period. I think probably I would say the Northeast and maybe West or Midwest would have the least amount of HBCUs. I mean, the South is just running rampant with HBCUs, and it's a beautiful thing.
Understandable. Yep. But I went to so senior year it was UNCG. Option it was UNCG Pembroke because they were scouting me for basketball, and I was like, I might,
Yeah, you gave it a little acute.
I did. And then my guidance counselor, she was a Black woman. She said, "Why don't you look into A&T?" And I was like,
"No." Shout her out.
I said, "Look into who? Miss McKinney, Apex High.
What up?"
But I was like, "Where?" She was like, "North Carolina A&T. It's an HBCU." So she educated me, and I was like, "You know what? I'm gonna give it a shot because." I knew I did not want to.
You paused because I think you were about to say gander.
I did.
I'm going to give it a gander. But you knew what? I'm sorry.
This is what 39 will give you. Okay?
Give it a gander.
Don't call me out.
I had just said it, so I think that's why it was on.
Oh, okay. Where was I, girl?
You knew something about HBCUs when Ms. McKinney.
Oh, yeah. So I knew that, growing up, I was predominantly at white. We were predominantly at white schools, and they were good schools. Like they gave us good experiences. But I knew a sister needed a break. I needed a break from all of the micro stuff that I always saw in those environments. I was like, I can't do it for another 4 years. No. So thank God that Miss McKinney pulled me aside and was like, look into the school. Let me tell you something. Signed up for that orientation.
I know you was like, hey, we at A&T. Okay.
Signed up for that orientation.
Was it
for the
like
weekend?
That?
It was like that. I was like, oh yeah, Mom, this is where I'm going. Yeah. Like, this is it. She's like, oh, you don't want to go to UN? Nope. I don't want to go to UN nothing.
You came back hype, and I was like, well, we in there. Guess I'm gonna be.
I was like, yo, I had the time of my life. I
was like, what else happened? And what else happened?
I was so sad to have to wait to go to start school because after orientation, I think it was another month and a half, probably a month and a half, and I was like, child.
And for those who maybe haven't gone to college or had a different experience, orientation at A&T was what?
I mean, okay, so first of all, just seeing all of the Black students around me, higher education. The students that served as tour guides, around the campus, and just seeing the camaraderie and the Black spirit and the
Just the excellence.
Yeah, like
just the like.
I had never experienced that in an academic setting, and I was like, what in the world? Like,
what's beautiful, and I can say this now because I went to, I had to rep both. I'm gonna rep them both. So
hey,
don't get on me. I'm
where you went.
both. Carolina alum.
Rep where you went, child.
NCCU School of Law. But I think the beauty of the excellence when you step on an HBCU campus is you see all of it.
Shades, like all shades, all kinds,
all socioeconomic backgrounds,
right?
And it's all excellent.
All excellence, and everyone's there for the same goal, like just to better themselves, to enter into a space where they know I'm taking my life seriously. Like this is the next step for me. I'm here to, like just go after my dreams and goals.
It's dope. You got that student whose mom like did everything and anything, worked all types of hours to get them to that campus.
To get them there.
But you also got that student who's a legacy, whose parents got land.
They starting out in the suites.
Right. Like, I mean, it's a beautiful thing.
But Holland Hall
opens your eyes. It opens your eyes to like, wow, we're all facets. We're not monolithic.
And that, yes. So diversity, right? Like, like the idea of diversity being
the intra-diversity.
Right. So like inter is what we lean into, right? Different races, different cultures, and different backgrounds. Yeah. But within the Black community, you saw like all of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was, orientation. I was like, I'm here.
So you saw all of that.
I'm an Aggie.
Orientation, you saw all of that, but you also, I'm throwing myself out there because I'm venturing to say I think y'all had like a little party at least.
Oh, facts. Like party on campus.
And I know that played a part.
Let me tell you something, right?
No front.
No, it did. It absolutely did.
Let's get to the real.
No, but the funny thing is, like our parties off campus, right? So like the clubs and stuff, like. Girl, that little
in the ballroom,
right? The little room that we were in having like that orientation party was everything to me. And now when I look back on it, I'm like, girl, you were in a room with some lights, some
and it was hot and sweaty.
You on campus party, right. Like this is not a true party, but it was all I needed. For you. It was all I needed. My little 17-year-old self.
Orientation, continuing to take us there. Did you meet any of your like lifers?
Yeah, I met my college roommate, Ashley. And
shout out to Ashley. We love you, boo.
And we just clicked, like first of all, I'm gonna be honest, Ashley got me into Holland Hall. Like Holland Hall was one of the best girl dorms.
The premier dorm.
We had AC. We were like, it was smaller, so it wasn't as like it was small, and like one of the like more updated ones.
It was nice. It was really nice.
So shout out to Ashley for getting me in that dorm because I think she wrote down that she had asthma or something. Like she had but it was like doctor verified. Yeah. And I was like, so when we met, she was like, girl, we here. Like we gonna have AC.
Now we gonna have AC. I've never heard anybody say that. About a college.
A lot of those dorms didn't that girl. We talking about early 2000s. A lot of those dorms did not. Yeah. Okay. But I met my one of my longtime friends, Ashley. So that was a beautiful moment too. Like just us meeting at the right perfect time. Mm-hmm. Our moms clicked, and we carried that friendship on, throughout college. Dope. So orientation was just like a big moment in my life where it solidified that A&T was it for me.
Yeah,
like I'm done.
That's dope. I'll say so. My experience is a little different. We both, like she said, we both were athletes, and she was recruited to go to, the UNCGs, the Pembrokes. I also, like I said, I was an athlete. I played soccer growing up.
Yeah, my little soccer star.
I was, like really in it, So from the time I was about 12, I was identified as someone who, I was in and out of the youth national teams. And North Carolina, actually living in North Carolina, but being in a state where the college is the pinnacle of that sport. Like UNC women's soccer is storybook legend.
Yeah, legendary. Like
you go there, you're set.
When I was like, that was it for me. Like just knowing that my sister was going to such a prestigious university, but like the soccer reputation that it had, and I was like, oh, facts. My sister's coming out with the ring. Like, so she goes to the best university for soccer. Sorry.
No, it's cool. I appreciate that. But you go there, and I'm set soccer wise, but I'm also at an incredible educational institution. Yep. I didn't really have a choice. Like it was Carolina.
Scholarship.
I get recruited to go to Carolina. I'm going there. Anson Dorrance, who's the coach there, if he calls you, you're
going. It's like world-renowned, like coach, you know?
I mean, statistically, I was guaranteed a championship, which I ended up getting at Carolina.
Your senior year, right?
Junior year.
Okay, that was junior year. And that was such a beautiful moment watching you in that game, and, you know, just
appreciate you. All that work come together, you know, because it was like, I mean, it really was like a lifetime build up to that moment.
And I remember my A&T friends calling me like, I'm watching Ariel, like we watching her, we pulling for her.
I think that's a point to be made about HBCU. So I went undergrad to Carolina, and it was a beautiful experience. And one, I think that only a handful of the nation can say that, you know, as a college athlete you can get. But two, going to NCCU School of Law was like hands down one of the most life enriching experiences of my life. And I will say that the family feeling that you get when you go to an HBCU is no other. And I was able to experience that through you. I have friends that went to A&T. Like I have friends,
like some of your like
friends, my friends through her. But like she said, they supported me when I was in undergrad. Like I met them in high school because obviously she's a little older.
Because she was coming, you know, summer vacations. She was at the parties with me. I had her ID ready.
I mean, mommy, are you driving me to A&T? Because
it's time to go. I'm ready to go.
I'm not trying to go to these high school parties. I'm going to A&T. Yeah, but no, I had those friends who were like supporting me in college, coming to my games. Taking it to even Will, who trained me in the summertime to get ready for preseason. You know, like I really had a village from A&T. And then when I went to NCCU School of Law, I had that expectation because y'all set the tone, but it really was carried through. Like, you know, my professors held me down.
Girl.
And you just don't get that, I don't think, when you go to a big time like PWI where the lecture halls are like, you know, there's 300 students.
Exactly. I was going to say,
You're not thinking about you.
it's a lot of faces.
Like I remember, like I said, I'm going to a Storybook Dynasty soccer program. And I remember the professors being like, okay. I'm like, I got a game this weekend, you know.
All right.
You know, good luck with the notes. You know, you just didn't get the support at Carolina that I know that I would have gotten had I gone. So for me, it was number one, I didn't have a choice. Like I was going to Carolina. But number
Mommy
two,
said you're going.
Right. But number two, thankfully, I got that experience on the back end.
Yeah. And also, you know, some of the conversation is like, what's best for students, right, from our background, Black students, brown students. What is the better place for them to be, right? And I think about my children and what I would tell them. And I think that it really just comes down to what's going to set you up to accomplish your goal in the most effective way, right? Also, too, we know free money is great. So, I mean, if it's a scholarship, a full ride, I mean, that weighs into it too. But it comes down to like, what do you value, right? Not to say that one is better than the other. PWI versus HBCU is just a different experience. And so what do you value? What do you hope to just inundate yourself with, right, in that institution? And so that's what you should think about.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I mean, ultimately, nowadays, going to college is kind of a business decision. So again.
And it wasn't back then.
It wasn't, you know.
It turned out for the best.
Yeah, it did. But like nowadays, you know, tuition wise, it's like, what do you value in? What's the cost benefit analysis here? You know what I mean? So I really think that weighs heavily into the decision. But when you're talking about our community, our Black and brown students, you know, I would say one thing, like I said, with HBCUs that's really beautiful is that like you walk onto the campus and the air just smells different.
It feels different.
It really feels like the ancestors are like.
Well, I was gonna say it feels like more alive, like more charged, like more like.
Yeah, it's
like I have a power behind me, like propelling me. Like I have never felt, rarely, I'll say, felt as safe with my professors as I did anywhere else with teachers.
Beautiful.
I felt like they saw me, you know, like they didn't see me and have, you know, just immediate assumptions or immediate maybe biases and so forth. And we all have them, but I just felt like they really cared about me. They wanted me to be successful.
And even to the extent that they did have those biases and thoughts, like they see past it because they were able to relate to you
just on a human level. Like, I see you. Like, a lot of them probably could see their daughter or their niece or their whatever, you know? And so that does make a huge difference subconsciously. Like, I don't care what anyone says. Someone from your culture seeing you compared to someone else, it's going to be on a deeper level.
Yeah.
They're able to see you as someone they love, someone from their family, you know? And I really felt that at A&T.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's important. I mean, but let's get down to the nitty gritty. When we're comparing PWI experience to HBCUs, the parties are no comparison.
And I did go to a couple of Chapel Hill parties.
To my sister's credit, she would come visit me on Carolina's campus, her and some of our other friends from A&T. And we would make it a weekend, child.
We would make it a weekend
at Chapel Hill. We'd be up in Players, don't front. We'd have us a little good time on Franklin Street.
It was okay.
A little good time.
It was all right. But Franklin Street, now that was one good memory. Franklin Street.
Yeah.
That was a good time. Because I remember we would drive out, like, so, you know, every once in a while. Yeah. I think I used to have like a big Halloween bash or something, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's what it was.
We also too, and this is dating us, but Apple Chill. I don't know if you
but did I ever go to one? Did I ever?
I don't know, but Apple Chill was fun.
Was that summer?
But that's when summertime? I mean, everybody would come to our campus for Apple Chill. They had to shut that down. No, it might have been like the early fall, maybe.
Maybe it was Apple Chill. We
were
maybe
in school at the time, but it was like kind of like the Freaknik of Carolina. They had to shut it down.
A couple of hip hop songs, you know.
It was got
more Black people than usual.
It was the whole time. Like, people were coming in.
But you say it's like Freaknik. That's not, you know, I'm just saying. Like,
yeah, but it won a couple of don't play us now. Apple Chill was Apple Chill.
No, for real, like, no. People drove out like for Apple Chill. I do remember that.
But Carolina pulled the plug on that.
Too much.
Too much happening. But yeah.
Yeah.
But in comparison, you know, I already mentioned ballroom and George K.
But let's talk about homecoming, though. Let's talk about homecoming.
Let's not do too much, because we gotta, you know, we're gonna talk about that in depth.
Okay,
let's talk about homecoming a little bit. The comparison, there is none.
It's none.
Since I've graduated from Carolina, I've gone to a total whopping one homecoming. And you want to know where I spent the rest of my homecoming?
G-ho. Okay. Aggie Pride?
Yeah.
Like, literally every year you were like just an honorary Aggie.
Right.
Like,
I'm coming.
You're on the yard. It's like you're just someone that went to A&T. Like, that's how people embraced you, you know?
I did try, I will say. I did try to rep Carolina when I was there sometimes, you know?
Yeah.
I'm going to put on my Tar Heel sweater. I know people was like,
girl, why?
Don't do that.
Right. Because you could not
You
be
could
here.
stay home.
You can go to your homecoming.
And I'm still here.
But I mean, so at the PWI, like, what was your interaction with your professors? Like, what was that dynamic like?
I will say, so I did have some really good professors, but you had to be intentional, and you had to like make yourself known. So it wasn't like when I went to Central for the first time, our orientation, the first day was like, the dean came in, basically said, you know, I care about y'all. I want y'all to succeed. I mean, he gave us that talk.
Yeah.
Carolina was like,
hi,
good luck, y'all. Look to your left and your right. Now, we did get
follow the signs.
We actually did get that speech at Central, but the difference was they said, look to your left and your right.
You mean at Chapel Hill?
No, at Central.
Okay.
We also got this speech at law school, because realistically.
Oh, I got you.
Realistically, the statistics told us that one of us, you look to your left and your right, one of y'all aren't going to make it statistically. But the difference in that conversation was the professors that were in the room. It was like all of the professors of the law school were in that room for all of us coming in as 1Ls. And the difference was them saying, now, statistically, one of y'all will not make it if you look to your left and your right, but we're going to be here for y'all. We're going to make sure that, you know, we pull you up as much as we can. Now, you got to do some of it, but we are going to, like, we're going to pull you as much as we can pull you. You know?
And that's a beautiful feeling.
Yeah.
It's just like a safe, you're away from home, you're not around your parents, like, and you already feel vulnerable anyway.
Right.
Like, can I make it? Will I do okay? Like, what will my grades be like? And go ahead.
I can call my, like, Dean Corbett, Professor Wright, like, you know, Dean Green. Like, these professors were like, we got you.
Yeah.
You know, like studying for the bar, Dean Green. I didn't see you over there. You know, why weren't you there?
And you know what? And you know what? For me too, like when they would come at you in that way, it was like, okay, I don't want to disappoint them.
Right. It's like another parent.
It's like another family member. So it's like, okay, I have to do my part because I can't disappoint them because they are pulling for me, you know, and they believe in me. So I got to believe in myself.
Right. And shout out to Professor Dawson because homegirl was just like it for me. Con law, her locks were like, I mean, girl,
there was nothing better than seeing like a beautiful bad black female professor walking across campus. Girl, you'd be like,
across campus, or everybody, all the students are in class assembling. It's kind of it's loud, people talking. And then that bomb professor walk in and everybody get quiet, ready for class.
Ready.
Know she mean business. And you better not say nothing when she ready to talk, you know?
Yep. And you fall in line.
It's like it really is I hesitate to say Black excellence because there has been a recent conversation which I thought was really important. And I'm gonna shout him out, Preston Mitchum, who went to law school with me. He is now on Summer House, Martha's Vineyard. There was a conversation he had about not really caring for the term Black excellence because it typically excludes the stories of those, you know, that we deem Black excellence a certain way, and it's very narrow. But excellence is varied, and it doesn't have to look like you in college. It could be, you know, excellence is you striving to meet the next day because this world is against you. You know what I mean? So I do appreciate that conversation that he had on that national platform. But for me, when I was there, it just like that aura of the professors, Black professors that we saw was just on another level.
Yeah.
So that's the difference at a PWI. Like I said, it was like you had to seek them out. I had some great professors. I had one actually who wrote my recommendation for my application to Central. And my soccer coach at Carolina was the one he actually went to law school at Central for a little bit before he dropped out and began coaching. But he was the one who was like, I think you'll do good in law school. Like, so these are people who cared about me enough to sow those seeds and get me to where I am. But you had to really be the one to drive it.
To initiate it. Yeah. And that's a little unfortunate because when you're so young and you're stepping into hard. Like you don't know how to do that.
Right.
You feel intimidated, right? Because you also have assumptions like, will they understand me? Will they, you know, want to help me? So I think that's just a little unfortunate that the initiation has to probably be on the student to really drive it. But I will say at A&T too, like you did have to drive some of it with your professors too. Like it wasn't always are you, because they weren't coddling, but you know, like you did feel like if you had to talk about something, if you needed help, that you could go to them. They might in their old school way be like, get it together.
And they did, not might.
And you were like, yes, ma'am, yes, sir.
Yeah,
you know, I
exactly.
know.
It's a different tone.
Yeah, it's a different tone. Yeah.
One thing I will say I appreciate about Carolina is the fact that while I was there, I'm not sure the breakdown of the student body now, but I think Black students held maybe generously, I'll say 10% of the student body. But we had what was called the Black student movement. And so it forced Black students to really find each other and cleave to each other. And we really had a community. I'm thankful for my sweet mate, Shayla, who, you know, I had a built-in community with the soccer team. So I didn't really navigate too far out of that for a while until Shayla came into my life and was like, girl, come on. And I'm not taking no for an answer.
Right.
Like that's just her personality. But she introduced me to that world, and I have some really good friends because of her and because of the Black student movement. So it was dope.
Yeah. Now you brought up sweet mate, and I thought about like just walking into your suite and being like,
it was bomb,
girl. This thing is nice.
It was nice.
Like
we had our own bathroom adjoining her room with Alma, who was my other sweet mate. I love you, boo. And then my room. I didn't have a roommate for a while. Because one of my teammates decided not to play soccer. So she went on to go to another dorm, which was very popular, Granville Towers, very popular.
Were they also as nice too?
Very nice, yeah. They were actually probably, I think they weren't as new, but they had the prestige of being like the nice dorm.
I got you.
And like all the students who had money and stuff were
Yeah, and I think
Towers.
that's some of like the different things you see when you compare PWI and HBCU, because sometimes, right, HBCUs, like their dorms, a lot of them might be not as updated, not as big, not as spacious, right? The bathroom is down the hall, like not in your room. And we did have like we have some suites on campus, but some of those halls, when I went there anyway, it was like
we had a few too.
I'm at my friend's apartment on the weekend.
We had a few too.
Shout out to Tyra and Madonna. I'm at their place. Shout out to Monique. I'm at her place.
Right.
Like, you know.
You stayed at their place.
Like, stayed because I was not.
I know Dale, Monique's husband, was like, okay now, girl, go on back.
You hear again? Yes. Because I'm not staying there.
Yeah, but like on the, so like surface level, I think comparisons of like the facilities and things like that, you know, there might be something that stands out, but just like intrinsically, it's just a beautiful thing. I heard somebody say this, I can't remember who, I wish I knew, but there's only this finite amount of time in your life, these 4 years, where you can choose to be in a place that is basically your people. Otherwise, we are not the majority in this country. So
that's right.
So you're gonna walk through life usually as the minority.
With that experience.
But you can choose for those 4 years to be among your people. That's a beautiful thing.
And I just felt like, I was like, why was I thinking like that at 17?
Right.
But I don't know if it was probably God. Like,
that's dope.
This is yours. Yeah, she needs it. Because I was just like, I am not.
I'm done. Like
I'm not doing it for another 4 years.
Yeah, we went through life. 80%, the majority was Caucasian, and then it was, you know, the trickle of whatever little, you know, sprinkles of minorities there were.
And but just like the like the microaggressions.
And thankfully now we have the terminology to even call it, but we didn't even know what that
meant. That's true.
Then.
We didn't. Like, did you just see that girl walk by in the same short shorts, but they didn't say anything?
Right. Or like, you know, someone, oh, you changed your hair. You know, like, girl.
Wait, did your hair that long? Did it grow? Like
girl. Because you get extensions too.
I got to the point I would say yes, it did.
But that's the thing though. You get extensions too. You know how it works.
Yeah. So I think like that, if that is important to you, then absolutely HBCU is the way to go. If you already know, like, I've had this experience, it's kind of like getting on my nerves, it may be weighing me down a little bit, you know, to have to navigate this as a teenager. I don't want to do it anymore. Like, let me just go in my little bubble, because A&T was a bubble. Like,
it was.
Campus, off of campus, like, you were literally surrounded by all shades of your people, you know? And so even just running your errands or doing everyday things, like, you didn't feel like I'm the minority.
I'm the outsider, if you will.
Yeah.
It's funny you say bubble, because Chapel Hill is a bubble, child. It is like, I mean, there's UNC is Chapel Hill. There's only a few, I feel like, or handful of colleges where you can say like the school is the city, you know, and Chapel Hill was that bubble. So I did feel a sense of security, especially because like I said, I had a built-in community with the soccer team. I can't imagine coming in as a Black student without that security net of being an athlete, you know, and having to form and make that community.
That's true. Yourself, that would be hard,
you know. So that's number one. But number two, I will say I'm really thankful. Like I have really hands down the best of friends that I was able to cultivate while I was there. Especially like, you know, funny enough, you know, there were 3 of us Black girls in my class on the soccer team. So myself, Jamie, and Robin, we just like kind of clung to each other. Like instantly, it was like, okay, whether
we're here for you.
But it wasn't even. It was like a natural thing. Yeah. And culturally, you know,
y'all were different.
There was some differences. Like Robin's from Canada. She had a completely. I mean, like when I say there's like, I'm sure that there are those instances of like, you know, feeling the strain of race relations, but it was not on the level of America.
Not like America.
Like she used to be like, y'all crazy, you know. And
does everything have to be Black, white?
Right. Jamie's Jamaican and Haitian, so like we all had different backgrounds, but naturally we just like, you know, this is my girl, this is my chick, you know. So I'm appreciative of that.
Yeah. I mean, so. Me going to Chapel Hill, like I'm going randomly now, jumping. Y'all would have, you know, a lot of like the good, a lot of the good like eating options, right? So like, I'm like, wait, y'all got what? Like, Qdoba, is that, and what else? And like, it just felt like, I don't know, like y'all's options were maybe a little bit more luxurious, right?
Or healthy.
Or healthy.
I mean, I think we see that like just in general, like in the inner cities versus like
that's true.
The microcosms, and how certain communities are treated, what options they have. And Chapel Hill happened to be like it really was like phenomenal, cream of the crop when it came to
like at that time, like years ago, like we're
even
talking 17 years ago.
When I was there, we had 3 cafeterias.
Yeah.
So they opened the third one while I was there, I believe, Rams Head. And then we had Lenore and one other. That was like I forgot what it was called, but when I tell you that was considered the janky one. I mean, it was carpeted so you could smell the food walking in, but it was actually pretty nice still in comparison, but just thinking about the things that we have facilities wise, and not to say like I think that going to some HBCUs like A&T, for instance, some of their facilities are cutting edge now.
Yes, I was going to go to that, like the funding and the recognition that HBCUs are getting now.
Yeah.
They're able to do those things. I mean, A&T's campus is like they have robots delivering food. Like they were the first program to have robots delivering lunch, like just food delivery orders to students. And so I think that with that wave of students, I'm not going to say we were the first wave, but
go ahead, we were like credit, girl.
We were one of the first largest waves to enter into the HBCU space. I'm not, you're my generation too, but my age, like literally my age group. And I think really shift the perspective, right? Because our mom, she didn't know anything about HBCUs. Yeah. And so it just started to shift. And at the end of 4 years, she was like, girl, Aggie pride, like, right, you better say it.
Say that.
So I think that we're starting now to see like those campuses be more updated and have more options. And because A&T is, I mean, I recognize it, but I don't anymore, just with all of the options that students have. And they should, like, rightfully so, right?
Yeah. Between that and athletics, I love, seeing what Deion Sanders did at Jackson State. And that's a whole conversation in and of itself. But just that recognition and awareness is really important. Like you said, to funding. One thing I think is important to recognize in this conversation is there are going to be differences because HBCUs have systematically been underfunded. Like it's just a systematic issue. Right. That is not going to be a one size fits all solution. And if you even think about the context of why HBCUs were created in the first place, because PWIs wouldn't accept us, people that look like us, already coming in as kind of the underdog, trying to make it work, trying to create these incredible institutions, which hats off to those who did it before us, because like I know that the resources were slim.
Yeah, very slim, and they made it work.
Yeah,
they made it work. And I love how you brought up Deion Sanders. I think what I love is that he used his platform to give back, right? To reach out and say, okay, let me spend I have this huge platform. Right. Let me spend my time here at an HBCU and build it up and invest into it and bring, more awareness. And so I think hopefully we're starting to see a larger wave of that. I think that we all have that responsibility. Like J.R. Smith is now, right? He's at A&T. LeBron James is bringing his podcast
I believe
to
Ocho
GIHO this
FAMU.
year. Okay, Ocho's at FAMU. So just
everyone. Chad Johnson, I think he goes by Chad.
Oh, is it Chad now?
Yeah.
Okay, Chad.
All
right, Chad. So just, everyone, I think, starting to understand that it takes us to really build that awareness, because we know firsthand how it has impacted our lives, how it helped fulfill our lives. Like I met my husband, you met your husband, like kids, generations stem from that. And so I just love the wave of love that HBCUs are getting. And I think that those that did go to a PWI and, have a large network or influence, okay, how do we bridge those two or pull it over, right? So the resources are more spread out.
Yeah. I mean, I think I love the conversation, because it's like, it's not an either or, like you said, it's really about what's best for you. What are your values? What aligns best for you at the time? And I love that we can have these conversations and we're going to be passionate on both sides about it, right? But at the end of the day, how can we create an environment and atmosphere for these students coming up where they can just make the decision that's best for them?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then also in the meantime, in between time, continue to elevate HBCUs, get them the resources that are necessary and needed, and really like get that representation out there.
Yeah. And I mean, again, the Black spirit, right? Like our beautiful Black spirits are so huge. I think that just us coming together and us appreciating and valuing those institutions that, number one, like you said, were founded and started to shelter us and to provide
a safe
haven to learn. I just think that it's hard to ignore that for a long period of time. And it was ignored for a long period of time, but now we're at a place where the conversation is HBCUs for Black and brown children.
Yeah.
That's the conversation now. Where before it was like, now what school are you going to?
Why?
What? Girl, the why? Are you sure?
Are you sure?
Is that the best? Right, you know?
And I honestly, because of that context, I'll bring this up. I'm glad you talked about that. Because of that context, I remember when I was applying to law schools, in the schools that I was accepted to, waitlisted to, and Central was like, you know, we want you, and they made it known. And because I had those voices in the back of my mind, I'm still over here questioning it. You know, there's schools that are waitlisting me, and I'm over here like, should I
go? Yeah.
And they're like just making it known, like, we want you here. And thank God I made the decision to go. And I will give my brother-in-law some credit, Jamaris. I remember talking to him about it, and he like really kind of just laid out for me like some of the reasons why it would probably be best for me to go there. And he was so good at, you know, laying it out and really kind of explaining to me why he ended up going to A&T, that it helped me make that decision. But thank God I went, because it really, like, it was life changing. And when I tell you, like, I am 10 toes down for NCCU.
I mean,
I am.
Go. Hey, Eagles.
Eagles pride.
Aggie pride.
Whatever.
But yeah, I mean, literally, whatever you value, whatever works for you, just make sure that you're making a strategic decision. And parents, right? Like, help support your children.
Support that decision.
Right. Help them really think it out, right? And I mean, I know there's tradition, I know there's legacy. We're probably not talking to y'all. So, but if you're not, like, just really lean into how is this going to help me achieve my goals? Where does this get me 4 years from now?
Right. Because I mean, we're not talking about the whole like A&T, like the engineering program,
like
on another level. It's,
right,
you know,
elite.
Up there with the tops of the tops.
Yeah.
You know,
like major companies, like the biggest companies in that industry, like we got to go to A&T.
Law schools throughout the country, sadly enough, there's a ranking system when it comes to law schools, and top tiered schools are usually those like Ivy League schools that have traditionally had law schools. So I don't think that HBCU law schools will ever be in those conversations, but we always turn out the most ready.
And everyone knows about Central's law program.
Right.
Everyone knows about that law program.
When I tell
it's widely respected.
When I tell you they create lawyers that are ready from day one versus, you know, students who have, you know, learned the theory, learned the ideas behind the law, but they're not ready to go. Like when I say Central students go into those courtrooms ready.
Yeah. And I've seen it firsthand. I mean, you know.
You know, so you know, there's something to be said about that too. I want to also say, before we get out of here, I brought this shirt, y'all.
Child, this shirt. And
I was ready. I was ready. It was a HBCU shirt. I saw it on the website, right? Grambling, Alcorn. We got Jackson. We got like all these schools. FAMU.
Yep.
Why does it have NC State?
I know somebody
meant A&T. Like, I couldn't even wear it. I'm so annoyed. I was so excited about this t-shirt.
Why is State? Great institution, great school.
Right, but it's not an HBCU. This is an HBCU shirt. HBCU. It's an HBCU shirt, y'all.
Who made that shirt?
Right.
Where you get it from?
It couldn't have been one of us.
No, absolutely not. Where you get it from? You don't want to call it out?
No, I'm not gonna call it out.
Okay.
I will say this though. It's also important. We'll have this conversation. Understanding where your black dollar is going. Just because it say HBCU, I'm tossing it. Just because it say HBCU doesn't mean. Let's circulate our dollar in the community.
I mean, you probably thought.
I did. I was happy. I was excited.
Got to go to the about section, from now on. About, so it tells you like who is driving this company, who owns this product. Yeah.
And I try to be strategic and intentional, but
you had.
I saw an HBCU shirt and was excited. I was hyped.
Ready to put. Just imagine had you not peeped it though. Like, just imagine had you just been proud to support and walking around
and somebody like
why is
and it didn't even have Carolina. I might even make it work.
But NC State,
no,
not for you.
That's a no-go. That is an immediate no. No. Anyway,
we say all that to say, look,
HBCUs, PWIs, make y'all decision, make it wisely. Give it some thought.
Yeah.
But just
and it'll work out for you.
Just know at the end of the day, ultimately you're gonna end up where you're supposed to.
You're gonna exactly right. Destiny. It's all design.
Yeah. But thank y'all. Like, comment, share, subscribe.
Motha Knows.
Motha Knows.
Motha MOTHA knows on YouTube. Motha_knows on Instagram.
And actually, YouTube and TikTok are actually Motha Knows Co.
Hold up.
Motha Knows Co.
Ariel, the usernames.
Motha Knows Co.
Did you change it?
Mm-mm. We've been saying
this is a really raw moment right now because what?
Yeah, we've been saying Motha Knows, but it's Motha Knows Co.
Okay,
but it's gonna come up on the screen, and the screen is right, y'all. It's right. Thank y'all.
Don't judge. I just forgot the code. Love y'all.